6 a.m. I began my rounds that I normally have in areas of trauma, area of ED, and neurology, and was called to the 3rd floor at Truett. Upon that time, the nurse asked that I would come up and visit with the family, which I was glad to do. And at that point in time, I had the opportunity to meet Eli, as you call him. Elijah is how I know it. But to meet with him and his family in those last few minutes. That's a part of the chaplaincy, what we do. I'm a military chaplain as well. I carry that with me into the world of our hospitals. I have 3 main objectives in my role as a chaplain: to encourage the living, to have compassion for the wounded and the sick, and to honor those who have passed. So my time with him has been very brief. You have a lot more history, and you have a lot more knowledge about Elijah than really I do. The opportunity that I had to console and to comfort the bereavement of his father, and his mother, and his brother is where my focus of ministry was. At Baylor, we take care of the decedent care all the way from the time that one passes to the time that we release them to whom the family tells us release them, and they're never out of our care during that time. That's not done at all hospitals, but that falls into the role of the chaplain at Baylor. What I, in my brief, very, very brief time, learned about Eli, my perspective, is that he was a gentleman in the sense that he made preparations for things to come. As you may know, he did donate his body to UT Southwestern as a donation in order to have research done for the disease that he had, that cancer. I think that is a very big statement about who he was, from a standpoint that he was concerned about others, and that perhaps through this research at UT, that a cure or treatment could be made from what they've experienced from his life. And so that tells me that Elijah was a type of individual who thought of others before self, that gave his self to help others. And you know him much better than I do, but I can see that in the life that he lived, and the opportunity that I had to share with the family of him growing up in Nebraska, and their memories. And this is a time to remember who Eli was. He has passed from this life, but he has entered into eternity. And in my faith tradition, to be absent from this body is to be in the presence of the Lord. And that presence is a place that is dubbed throughout the scriptures that I read called paradise. So there's no more suffering, there's no more pain, there's no more agony, but a sense of paradise. And a person of his caliber, I know that he is in paradise, just what I can see with his brother and those at the time, and also from a friend that was there as well, to share my time. He said, it is an honor and a privilege for me to have the opportunity to do that. Every once in a while, to be very honest with you, as a chaplain, I'm human like everyone else, I need to go down to labor and delivery occasionally, just to see new life. And that day, there were born 22 new boys. And that was my way of leaving a 43-year-old man who has given quite a bit that I could see. My way of saying, there'll be one more here replace him. He's unique. But life does continue to go on. I want to read to you a passage of Scripture. It's probably very familiar to you. A lot of people know it more from the Blood, Sweat, and Tears song, but it's not what it's about. So I'll share with you what it's about. Okay, that'd be all right. From Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, the author of Ecclesiastes simply calls himself the preacher. We know by research that really it was a time when Solomon began to express the things that he learned about life. And it's thought because of the way that he talked about himself, about the windows becoming dim, the choppers being hard to move, such as your teeth, the limbs not moving as quick and as fast. So it gives you an idea of what he's reflecting back on in the life that he had the opportunity to live. As you know, he was the son of David. Actually, his mother was Bathsheba. Came from a situation that no one would admit was a great opportunity, but became a great man in his own right, and was one who did reflect, and he was known for his wisdom. This is what he shares with us from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up what has been planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to tear, and a time to sow. A time to keep silent, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. Then Solomon says, I perceive that whatever God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it. Nothing can be taken from it. God has done it so that people who reverence him before him, that which is already has been, that which is to be already has been. And God seeks what has been driven away. You've lost a dear friend of COVID. Time of sudden death or terminal illness many times can be a shock and a deep loss, both to your personal life and also your workplace. Because many times when those hours do come, you've spent many hours with that person who is no longer here. In fact, not just a coworker, you became a friend to you. You were interested in him, and he was interested in you. You were interested in his family. All of those began to mix that you became extended family. I know the extended family that I have the opportunity to work with on a daily basis at Baylor, all the way from the nursing staff to the technicians to the physicians to the ED, the guys that bring in folks from through ED, those all become a part of my extended family. And in my workplace, such as it is a place of friendship, and a place of getting to know one another and learning to love one another because of who those people are and the care that they're giving to others. I'm going to give you just a few suggestions that you may want to consider. I hope you will. Grieving is a process. It is a process that doesn't have a timetable to it. Sometimes it can go for weeks, sometimes for months, and years to individually process. We do not heal, nor do we have a prescribed prescription to hand you, because each one of us are different. I mourn in a different way than the person next to you. But it's okay to mourn. Jesus gave us that example in that shortest verse of the Bible. Remember what that verse is? Jesus wept. He stood there at the grave of Lazarus and wept. But not only did he grieve for an individual, he grieved for an entire city. When he stood on the hill above Jerusalem and cried out, "O Jerusalem, O Jerusalem, how I would have gathered you as a chicken hen brings her chicks together, but you would not." That was grieving because they didn't listen or didn't care to listen. My encouragement to you is to go through that mourning process. And there's some feelings that you maybe have. You may have a feeling of shock. You may have a feeling of even denial. Perhaps a feeling of anger. A feeling of perhaps guilt and anxiety. Maybe some sleep disorders or exhaustion or overwhelming sadness and problems with even concentrating. Now that this has occurred. And I want you to know that that's normal over a period of time. It's not normal to continue to carry that beyond the time. Okay? Because healing needs to take place in your life. Just as remembering him can be a healing balm to you, knowing that his healing has taken place and he is with God. Maybe you need to find a new balance of making that work. You need to talk to one another. You need to be ready to grow in this experience. Many of us probably have all lost loved ones, lost friends before, but each one is just that, a loss. I personally am grieving the loss of a 13-year-old golden retriever. Because of the love that we shared with one another as handler, and I think she was my master. She's the one that got the biscuit from me or whatever it was, to let me know when it was time to go outside. But the reality is the losing of that dear creature, friend, left hurt in my heart, and still does. It's still fresh from April 7th of this year to know that. But what I want to encourage you to do, to the extent and to the depth and the duration, will depend on how close you're going to be to that deceased person and the circumstances, perhaps, of this passing. And it's also going to be our own intuition and the losses of others that we've lost. Or perhaps it may not even be others. It may be things that we've lost in our lives, such as jobs, or perhaps a home, or perhaps